Today, I'm flying JetBlue Economy on a 5-hour flight from New York JFK to Las Vegas. And this is actually my first ever US domestic flight, so hopefully I'll be able to give a fresh perspective on what is, according to many, the best airline in America. I'll also compare it to the experience you would get on other airlines throughout Europe and Asia for a bit of global perspective, so buckle up and get ready for this review of JetBlue. New York JFK's Terminal 5 started out in 1962 as the iconic home of now-defunct TWA. That building was then converted into the TWA Hotel, which you can see when arriving at the airport. And the terminal in its current form opened in 2008 and is exclusively used by JetBlue, and randomly a small commuter airline called Cape Air, headquartered in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Other than that, all I can really say about the airport is it's serviceable, and that's about it. They have a load of self-check-in and bag tag printers which were easy to use, and security was okay, but past security was crowded with very little to do and food to eat. But I guess it does handle mostly domestic short-haul flights, so it's to be expected. Now on to the airline itself. Founded in 1998, JetBlue are the 6th largest airline in the US after American, Delta, United, Southwest and Alaska. And they also have a hybrid kind of business model, not quite a budget airline like Frontier or Spirit, and also not quite a full service carrier like United or Delta. They also almost entirely focus on the US and Caribbean markets, with just a few flights to Europe. And their main hubs are on the US East Coast, with New York JFK being the largest, which is why they also call themselves New York's hometown airline. But if you follow the news much, you might know things aren't too positive for JetBlue right now. After a failed merger attempt with Spirit Airlines last year, forced Spirit to file for bankruptcy this year and weakened JetBlue in the process. Then just a few weeks ago, JetBlue announced a partnership with United, but definitely not a merger, where you'll be able to book United flights through JetBlue and vice versa, as well as share miles and status benefits between the airlines. This will hugely increase JetBlue's reach thanks to United's huge network, but who knows if it will actually be beneficial to them or if they just had to strike a deal to stay competitive. But long story short, JetBlue is struggling financially, and that will probably continue for at least a while. Now back to our flight, and everything was running on schedule, so before we board, here's the route map and stats for today's flight. Departing on time and arriving about 20 minutes early, it was a pretty uneventful flight out west over the US, and as this was my first domestic US flight, two things stood out to me. First, they're extremely precise with flight timings, to an unnecessary extent if you ask me. This flight was scheduled to depart at 10:29 and arrive at 13:09, but why so precise? Everywhere else in the world you only see flight times ending in 5 or 0, so why is the US unique there? Leave a comment if you have any idea. And second, most people closed their window blind well before takeoff and left it closed the whole flight. Again, most places in the world it's a legal requirement to keep it open at least during takeoff and landing. But even if it's not a law in the US, it was a fully daytime flight and we passed some incredible scenery, including this in the Hoover Dam. So it just seems strange to my aviation YouTuber brain that people seem so uninterested. But at the end of the day, that's all unimportant, so let's take a look at the seat. Legroom is actually very good, with a seat pitch of 32 inches even in the standard seats. And despite the puffy seat back with 3 pockets, you still have loads of space. It's also well padded with comfy leather and has an adjustable headrest. So right away, it's already better than most European airlines like British Airways or Lufthansa, who have rock hard seats, no headrest, and 3 inches less of legroom on regular seats. And compared to some of the world's most luxurious airlines like Singapore or Emirates for example, it's still not bad. But I do prefer their fabric seats over JetBlue's leather seats as I find it more comfortable. To make things even better, you get a 10.1-inch TV screen with a good selection of movies, plus live TV and radio. They do also offer unlimited free Wi-Fi on every flight, but as I'll show you later in the video, neither me nor my wife could access it for some reason. It just kept giving an error message, which was weird as our neighbour could use the Wi-Fi without issue. Maybe it's just a weird thing with our British phones or something. Back to the TV though, unfortunately you do have to pay a whopping $7 if you want headphones, so bring wired headphones if you want to watch something, or just watch it on silent like I did. And lastly, the interface was a bit on the dated side, but not too bad.
To please put your rollerboards, wheels or handles facing the aisle, that way we can accommodate for larger items as ramps. An additional ramp is located in the last left row. Please do not flush. And one more paper towel.
And just as we were pushing back, a British Airways 777 was arriving, which is the same plane I flew to New York on a few days ago from London, and you can find my review of their business class in the description below. flying transcontinental in the US, you typically don't get a proper meal service with any airline, so JetBlue's offering is quite good, I think. They have a selection of free snacks served after takeoff, and you can grab however many you want during the flight in the galley. And you also get free drinks, for which I got a Dunkin' coffee, which wasn't bad for plain coffee. The crew also came through the cabin maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the flight offering water. Looking at the menu though, paid options are pretty lacking and don't look good for the price. So if you want a proper meal, definitely bring one with you. Ideally from home, as JFK Terminal 5 also has terrible overpriced food offerings. And here you can see those $7 headphones. Now for the loo review, very average and slightly blue, though I suppose they keep it clean enough. And here's that live TV I mentioned earlier. They have loads of channels, so it is mostly news and sports. So I watched a bit of lacrosse for the first time, but didn't really understand what was going on, so I watched some pickleball instead. And the TV also has a helpful guide on how to use their free Wi-Fi provided by Viasat. But here's the error message we got when we tried to connect. As we got closer to Las Vegas, the landscape got pretty impressive, and interestingly, Las Vegas Airport has some of the worst turbulence of any in the US, which will be obvious in a minute when we begin our descent and you'll see the plane rocking from side to side. So here are some of those cool views, including the Hoover Dam in about 40 seconds, and this, which I wasn't sure if it's the edge of the Grand Canyon, or maybe just some other less famous canyon. Either way, it looks pretty cool. And there's a slightly obscured view of the Hoover Dam, which I only know about from Fallout New Vegas.
JetBlue Airways welcomes you to Las Vegas. Time is approximately 12:47 p.m. It says claim and gate your items will be here on the jet bridge as you exit the aircraft. If you need special assistance deplaning, please remain comfortably seated, that way we can better assist you. For information on baggage claim and connecting flights, please check the monitors in the terminal. It has been a great pleasure having you on board. We hope you enjoyed your JetBlue experience. We look forward to seeing you on future flights very soon.
As we arrive in Las Vegas, it's time for my final thoughts. I paid about $220 for this one-way flight, plus an additional $35 for one checked bag. Plus this was on their Blue fare, which is basically the standard fare and includes free seat selection, plus a cabin bag and personal item. And that price on this day I would actually say is pretty good value. The only cheaper direct option when I checked was Frontier. but that is a much more budget experience. Meanwhile, the big three carriers like United, Delta and American would have cost over $300. And of course, United don't even fly to JFK, so it's a moot point. The seat was very good for a short-haul airline, and better than almost every European airline I can think of actually, unless you want to count Turkish Airlines or the rare routes where Finnair or Iberia use their Airbus A350s. So here's my final score, and you can pause and read if you want to see the whole thing. I should also say after this I did further flights with both United and Hawaiian Airlines, and the JetBlue cabin was better than the two old United planes I flew on, and comparable to the brand new long-haul Hawaiian Boeing 787 I flew on. So thanks to that, I'll give JetBlue a score of 7 out of 10 on my airline tier list, where I rank every airline flown on this channel so far. And as I just mentioned, my next reviews will include United Airlines 737 and 777, plus Hawaiian Airlines 787, and after that I'll be reviewing Virgin Atlantic's A321-1000 economy from Los Angeles to London, as well as the Mandalay Bay and Royal Hawaiian Hotels, and the Las Vegas Amex Centurion Lounge. So please like if you enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing if you want to keep up to date with future videos. Many thanks for watching, and goodbye.